chime of the bell beckons us into sacred time. Welcome to the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston, where we widen love's circle by honoring the inherent worth and dignity of all. We extend a heartfelt and inclusive invitation to join us in meaningful worship and service to the world. Buenos días y bienvenidos a esta comunidad donde ampliamos el círculo del amor honrando el valor y la dignidad inherentes de todas. We greet all those who join us this morning. We have people watching our live stream from many places across the country, and we're happy to see you too. We hope that you will fill out the online attendance form and view upcoming events on our website calendar. We ask those here in person to take a moment after the service to seek out someone that you have not yet met and introduce yourself and tell them about all the beautiful things you love about this place. Now please join Dr. Batiste, Savannah, and Chelsea for our first hymn.
Please rise in body and/or spirit and join me in singing hymn 360 in your great hymnal, Here We Have Gathered, verses 1 and 2.
Here we have gathered, a community woven together from diversity, bound by love, a search for justice, the pursuit of joy, and a belief that all should be welcome because all are a blessing and blessed. Muslim, Christian, Hindu, Jew, atheist, theist, Unitarian Universalist, named and unnamed, citizens and immigrants, lovers of men, women, and all genders, speakers of every language, residents of all cities, poor, wealthy, somewhere in between. We say that all are welcome as we widen love's circle and seek together the greater truth that all humanity, all being, all life is one, and that all are bound together in mystery, love, beauty, and joy. That it might be so, I invite the congregation to say Amen, and join together in worship.
Celebremos compartiendo nuestras vidas, encendiendo esta luz.
congregational covenant with the words set forth in your order of service. Love is the spirit of our congregation. Service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to encourage one another. Do we covenant?
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. We're all here together in community. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
Now is the time when we send our young folks off to their religious exploration program with John and Elsa. And we tell them at this point, we love you, and we are so glad you are here with us today, because you're not just part of the future of our community, but an important part of our present. So please join with me in singing As You Go, found in your order of service.
As you go, may joy surround you. As you go, go in peace. Know our love is with you always. As you go, as you go.
Friends, in these times of ongoing pain, an evergreen gift that we may offer is our notice of each other. To really pause and see through the windows of the eyes into the heart of another, so that we may know and share their joys and sorrows. So I invite you into just a couple seconds of eye contact with those around you. You whose days are busy with raising small hearts to grow big and strong in the face of a world that wavers in its kindness, we witness you. You who are weary with grief and wondering when the storm cell will finally pass, we witness you. You whose time clock of life seems to be accelerating more every day, we witness you. You whose body or mind is confusing you right now, we witness you. You ready for a new chapter, aching for the next thing, feeling stuck, we witness you. You feeling alone and misunderstood, confused and overwhelmed, anxious and untrusting, or just plain tired, we witness you. You and you and you and you. You are not alone. We witness you. Friends, once again, we arrive to the end of another week that feels like it's offered a year's worth of living. On Wednesday, the U.S. Supreme Court made the most recent widespread change to the Voting Rights Act, removing significant protections against racial discrimination in voting and representation. The Voting Rights Act was signed into law 61 years ago, explicitly to protect and to expand the right to vote for racial minorities. We are a people of justice, and we know that this is an effort to deny equal representation and opportunities to our siblings, to weaken their electoral voices and create a governing body that does not represent the beautiful, diverse tapestry that is our citizenry. And we grieve this today. Friday was May Day, or International Workers' Day. 140 years ago, following the labor demonstrations and bombing at Haymarket Square in Chicago, May 1st became the date that all those fighting for workers' rights were called on to energetically demonstrate for class consciousness in our public and private lives. In this moment of suffering, under what Reverend Collin calls the politics of cruelty, we uplift all those individuals and organizations who are fighting for us to live lives in which, alongside work, we can play and rest and nurture and create. The very first May Day general strike demanded an 8-hour workday. And before that strike, the workday ranged from 10 to 16 hours, Often we worked 6 days a week, and it usually included child labor. Amidst that bleakness, many people dreamed of greater fairness, and they organized hard for it. We reap their efforts today, and we carry the mantle of responsibility to continue organizing for workers' rights and for class consciousness. Before the Voting Rights Act, many states, especially in the South, were governed by Jim Crow-era intimidation tactics. Amidst that bleakness, many people dreamed of greater fairness, and they organized hard for it. We reap their efforts today, and we carry the mantle of responsibility to continue organizing for voting rights and an electoral process that says a strong and final no to white supremacy. In times of bleakness, call to mind the long ribbon of time. Any given moment that we live is connected back and forward to moments and people heavy with hopes and desperate for change. Rumi offers us a prayer that reads, "O Lord, O God, O Sustainer, wrap us in that light with which you envelop your chosen servants, that we may meet a friend. O Spirit of life, O divine love, O source of mystery and beauty, wrap us in that light with which you envelop all beings, that we may recall and meet and nurture the friends who will carry us through this bleakness." Amen. We pause now together to lift up that which sits heavy and light on our hearts. Trish Kolodny's memorial service has been scheduled for May 30th at 10 a.m. Thanks to members of the care team and our congregation who are supporting this event. Pandora Johnson is still navigating breast cancer treatment, and we offer her strength and care and hope every step of the way. We extend love and solidarity to the many organizations, local and afar, doing the work to stand up to tyranny and authoritarianism. And as always, we stand in solidarity with the people of Palestine, Iran, Sudan, Venezuela, and all others who suffer and fight for self-determination under colonial imperialism. Mi Sheberak is a prayer in the Jewish tradition for the healing of those whose names are called out by congregants. There are similar practices in the African, indigenous, and pagan traditions, and we honor these rituals by saying aloud or bringing to mind those who we wish to be held by the loving embrace of this religious community. They are a part of the great cloud of witness and memory, and we will, even if we do not know their names, hold them in our hearts. Along with all spoken aloud, let us remember the suffering and joy amid our community that we do not know, and that which is kept in the silence of our hearts. We pause together in awe and wonder of the beauty, diversity, and mystery that is life. In the spirit of love, in the spirit of hope, and in the spirit of compassion, I invite each of you to enter into a time of silent meditation, prayer, or reflection.
Each week, our morning offering is shared with an organization that shares our Unitarian Universalist values. Through our generosity, our work in the world is proliferated and our values are brought to life. This week, we are supporting the Wildlife Center of Texas. Houston's SPCA Wildlife Center provides emergency life-saving care to injured, ill, and orphaned native wildlife. Their team works tirelessly to provide short-term and long-term rehabilitation with the ultimate goal of releasing these patients back to the wild. Each animal is provided individualized care in their state-of-the-art facility by experienced state and federally permitted wildlife rehabilitators and veterinarians. From osprey to opossums, life-saving efforts remain a top priority. Those in our sanctuary will find the instructions for text giving in the order of service, and those watching the live stream will see the instructions on your screen. Our regular Sunday morning offering collection invites us to weave a tapestry of love and action. We are asked to give generously. The offering will now be gratefully received.
Please join me in the words to dedicate our offering found in your order of service. To the work of this church, which is weaving a tapestry of love and action, we dedicate our lives, and these are offerings.
Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right doing, there is a field. I'll meet you there. When the soul lies down in that grass, the world is too full to talk about. Ideas, language, even the phrase each other doesn't make any sense.
The words come from the Sufi poet Jalal al-Din Muhammad Rumi. Born in 1207, he died in 1273. More than 750 years later, he is probably the most popular poet in the world. He's certainly beloved by some members of our congregation. Over the last few weeks, several of you have shared with me how much his words mean to you. In my book group, one person lifted up their battered and beautifully loved copy of translations of Rumi's verses by Coleman Barks, the best-known English variations. Yesterday, another person texted me one of their favorite Rumi poems. It is a profound tribute to a man born over 800 years ago and who wrote in a language that few, if any of us, know. His tongue, you might recall, was Persian, It's the official language of Iran, Afghanistan, and Tajikistan, all places where he lived. His family was from what is now Tajikistan. They ranged across Uzbekistan and Iran before settling in what is now called Turkey in the city of Konya. Rumi studied to be a Muslim preacher and scholar like his father and grandfather before him in the Syrian cities of Aleppo and Damascus. It might be that Rumi's cosmopolitanism makes his verse so appealing to the world's peoples. It's almost certain that just this week, his words have been used in mosques in Iran, Christian churches in Europe, and synagogues in North America. I doubt that I'm the only Unitarian Universalist minister who will quote him today.
Not a Christian or Jew or Muslim, not Hindu, Buddhist, Sufi, or Zen. Not any religion or cultural system. I am not from the East or the West, not out of the ocean or up from the ground, not natural or ethereal, not composed of elements at all. I do not exist, am not an entity in this world or the next, do not descend from Adam or Eve or any origin story. My place is placeless, a trace of the traceless, neither body or soul. I belong to the beloved, have seen the two worlds as one, and that one call to and know, first, last, outer, inner, only that breath-breathing human being.
A legend exists about Rumi's final breaths. It's said that he knew his time was coming. The city where he lived had been hammered by earthquakes for 40 days and 40 nights. The city's residents came to Rumi. They were afraid that the trembling earth was a harbinger of catastrophe. He told them not to worry. The ground was hungry, he said. Soon it would have a tasty morsel and be satisfied. Rumi fell ill. Doctors were called. Examining their patient, they could not discover a diagnosis. They consulted medical books, medical libraries, other wise men. No knowledge came to them. Finally, despairing, they asked the patient himself. He simply told them that the time had come for him to die. He shared that his light would be extinguished with the setting sun. And so it was. Sometimes Rumi's death is referred to as his wedding. He believed, as some Muslims do, that death was the moment when the individual is reunited with the infinite divine. Rejecting theologies of original sin, he believed in something we might call original forgetting. We are born of heavenly blessing, but our birth marks a moment of separation from the sacred. From our first breaths, we are troubled with the possibility of being unable to recall who we truly are, beings connected to the infinite spirit. Our lifelong task, the task of religion we are supposed to be attuned to, is to purify and sanctify our souls such that we might experience reunification with the heavenly hosts. It's a theological position not all that distinctive from what I sometimes call the resurrection of the living. It's found in many traditions and suggests that the true task of religion is to help us wake up to the world as it truly is. The world is infused with the possibility of beauty. It is burdened with the opportunity to love. It is a place where infinite connection to the stars, to the sunflowers, to the finches and thrushes, to paving stones, to the bread and salt that give life, and to each other, is always available if we just open ourselves. To open ourselves to each other. It's said that after Rumi died, his body was carried on a bier throughout the city where he lived. The streets were thronged. It was the middle of the Crusades. Holy wars instigated by Christians raged across what we now call the Middle East. Yet the streets were thronged with Christians, Jews, Muslims, Greeks, Arabs, Armenians, Turks, children and elders, warriors and peacemakers, poets and princes, the powerful and the powerless, the unjust and the just, the musical and the tone-deaf, the beloved and the despised, the Mithra runs, all came to give tribute to Rumi. His funeral, a parliament of the world's religions. Words came from the Christian New Testament, from the Psalms, from the Torah, from the Quran. Muslims proclaimed that he was the Muhammad of the age. Christians said that he had been as Jesus. Jews likened him to Moses. In my wild imaginings, I picture somehow representatives of all the spiritual paths available to humanity. I envision not just Christians, Muslims, and Jews, but the diversity of teachings originating in India, Buddhists, those we call Hindus and Jains, alongside the smaller religions of the Levant, Samaritans, Druze, and Karaite Jews, and rich traditions from Africa and indigenous communities. At the front may be a priest of Shango, the Yoruba Orisha of fire, and at the back, perhaps a Sami shaman.
There is a community of the Spirit. Join it and feel the delight of walking in the noisy street and being the noise. Drink all your passion and be a disgrace. Close both eyes and see with the other eye. Open your hands if you want to be held. Sit down in this circle.
Sit down in this circle. It is an invitation we extend to each other and all who wish to join us in the ongoing story we call the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston. Sit down in this circle, a sentiment caught in our congregational vision of widening love's circle. Sit down in this circle, a theological position echoed in our Unitarian Universalist Association's commitment to put love at the center. Love at the center. Rumi's teaching and ours is part of a legacy of religious dissent that we share. For while Rumi cannot be placed on the spectrum of orthodoxy and dissent, for he is much beloved by religious reactionaries as he is by spiritual rebels, his own Sufi tradition has often clashed with the powers and principalities of the hour. Mansur al-Hajjalad, one of his spiritual antecedents, was executed for his teachings. The Mevlevi order, the order of Sufism Rumi founded, was outlawed by the Turkish Republic more than 100 years ago. It is still technically illegal there, and its ceremonies are offered as cultural events of historical interest, sometimes for tourists, rather than as religious rituals. Love at the center, theological pluralism, the belief that there is a truth to be found across the world's religions. The central teachings we offer in our congregation have long been practices of religious dissent. They came not from Rumi, but from the mystical tradition of Sufism and the teachers that preceded him. One of these, a man he so loved he called the Beloved, was Shams Tabrizi.
There's no more wine. My bowl is broken. I am terribly sick, and only Shams can cure me. Do you know Shams? The prince of seeing who lifts the utterly drowning up out of the ocean and revives them so that the shore looks like multiple marriages going on at once, easy laughing here, a formal toast, a procession with music. Shams is a trumpet note of light that starts with the atoms spinning, a wind that comes at dawn tasting of bread and salt. Move to the edge and over. Fly with the wings he gives. And if you get tired, lie, but keep opening your soul.
I invoke Shams because it is impossible to talk about Rumi without him. The moment that they met appears to be the event that marked Rumi's passage from ordinary preacher to extraordinary teacher. Their relationship opens important questions for us found throughout Rumi's poetry. How much are we truly individuals? How much are we collective creations? How much of the you or the me that exists is due to our own efforts? What parts of you belong to others? Who do we owe and why? With Rumi, the question exists as to which of his teachings belonged to him and which originated with Shams or his father or his grandfather or the lineage of Sufi teachers that preceded them. With Rumi, the question also exists as to which texts belonged to him and which were collective creations. Many of his texts that come to us were recorded by Husham Shalibi, Rumi's scribe. Rumi claimed Husham was the source of his words and that the poet himself was only the instrument from which the words emerged.
Then draw the words out as I do this poem with Husham, the radiance of God. I try to stop talking, but he makes me continue. Husham, if you are in the vision, why do you want me to say words?
More recently, the version of Rumi's text beloved by so many English speakers comes from the poet Coleman Barks. Barks neither read nor spoke Persian. His translations of Rumi are largely reworkings of other English translations. Scholars often criticize them for stripping out the cultural context and theological tradition from which they emerged. It's possible to read Barks and imagine Rumi as modern rather than ancient, and perhaps be untroubled by the profoundly misogynistic community from which he emerged. None of his significant teachers or disciples were women. Usually, women appear as objects without much agency in his verse. The poem we are about to hear, though it comes through Barks, might be a reminder of both Rumi's beautiful teachings and the trouble that should be taken in approaching them. Fatima, who is named in the poem, was the Prophet Muhammad's daughter, and the poem cannot be understood without that morsel. For Fatima is a great moral exemplar within Islam, someone to whom women should aspire. And yet, as you will hear, it is degrading to compare a man to her. Now we will hear Moses and the Shepherd. Moses heard a shepherd on the road praying.
God, where are you? I want to help you to fix your shoes and comb your hair. I want to wash your clothes and pick the lice off. I want to bring you milk to kiss your little hands and feet when it's time for you to go to bed. I want to sweep your room and keep it neat. God, my sheep and goats are yours. All I can say, remembering you, is and ah.
Moses could stand it no longer.
Who are you talking to?
The one who made us and made the earth and made the sky.
Don't talk about shoes and socks with God. And what's this with your little hands and feet? Such blasphemous familiarity. Sounds like you're chatting with your uncles. Only something that grows needs milk. Only someone with feet needs shoes, not God. Even if you meant God's human representatives, as when God said, I was sick and you did not visit me, even then, this tone would be foolish and irreverent. Use appropriate terms. Fatima is a fine name for a woman, but if you call a man Fatima, it's an insult. Body and birth language are right for us on this side of the river, but not for addressing the origin, not for Allah.
The shepherd repented and tore his clothes and sighed and wandered out into the desert. A sudden revelation came then to Moses, God's voice.
Moses, you have separated me from one of mine own. Did you come as a prophet to unite or to sever? I have given each of you a separate and unique way of saying and knowing and saying that knowledge. What seems wrong to you is right for him. What is poison to one is honey to someone else. Purity and impurity, sloth and diligence in worship, these mean nothing to me. I am apart from all of that. Ways of worshiping are not to be ranked as better or worse than one another. Hindus do Hindu things. The Dravidian Muslims in India do what they do. It's all praise and it's all right. It's not me that is glorified in the acts of worship. It's the worshipers. Don't hear the words they say. I look inside at the humility. That broken open lowliness is the reality, not the language. Forget phraseology. I want burning, burning. Be friends with that with your burning. Burn up your thinking and your form of expression. Moses, those who pay attention to ways of behaving and speaking are one sort. Lovers who burn are another. Don't impose a property tax on a burned out village. Don't scold the lover. The wrong way he talks is better than 100 right ways of others. Inside the Kaaba, it doesn't matter which direction you point your prayer rug. The ocean diver doesn't need snowshoes. The love religion has no code or doctrine, only God. So the ruby has nothing engraved on it. It doesn't need markings.
God began speaking deeper mysteries to Moses. Vision and words, which cannot be recorded here, pointed into and through him. He left himself and came back. He went to eternity and came back here. Many times this happened. It is foolish of me to try and say this. If I did say it, it would uproot our human intelligence. It would shatter all writing pens. Moses ran after the shepherd. He followed the bewildered footprints, in one place moving straight like a castle across a chessboard, in another sideways like a bishop, now surging like a wave cresting, now sliding down like a fish, with always his feet marking geomancy symbols in the sand, recording his wandering state. Moses finally caught up with him.
I was wrong. God has revealed to me that there are no rules for worship. Say whatever and however your loving tells you to. Your sweet blasphemy is the truest devotion. Through you, a whole world is freed. Loosen your tongue and don't worry what comes out. It's all the light of the Spirit.
The shepherd replied,
Moses, I've gone beyond even that. You applied the whip, and my horse shied and jumped out of itself. The divine nature and my human nature came together. Bless your scolding hand and your arm. I can't say what has happened. What I'm saying now is not my real condition. It can't be said.
The shepherd grew quiet. When you look in a mirror, you see yourself, not the state of the mirror. The flute player puts breath into a flute. And who makes the music? Not the flute player. Wherever you speak your praise or thanksgiving to God, it's always like this dear shepherd's simplicity. When you eventually see through the veils to how things really are, you will keep saying again and again, this is certainly not like we thought it was. I love that line, the wave cresting. It encapsulates Rumi's theology that we are but instances of the infinite caught in the particular. Here is another one in which we are reminded that our individual beings are but like fragments of water making their way back to the ocean. The love we offer each other, Rumi tells us, is a reflection, a sample, a part of the love found within the divine.
God is pleased when your love realizes it is part of something oceanic, and it begins to move with the whole. The larger love is more real, being itself reality. These forms a mix of earth and water. Yes, you say, but I already have a deep love. Not deep or vast enough, more like river water, filled with silt. Don't wash your hands there.
The sentiment is provided elsewhere.
Likewise, sunlight and rain enter us and become this human consciousness, and that is returning to God.
This human consciousness, Rumi teaches us, is always bound up in our own location, our specific identities. But those identities are never separate from the larger world of which we are a part. I'm shaped by the religious traditions of which I have been a part and which I practice. The same is true of you. The same was also true for Coleman Barks, who, despite his lack of Persian, was a long-time practicing Sufi. How much of the spirit found in the poetry of Rumi's is his, and how much belongs to the ancient poet? I cannot answer such questions, but I can invite you to compare a refrain from his translation of Moses and the Shepherd with one by the more scholarly Franklin Lewis.
You have separated me from one of my own. Did you come as a prophet to unite or to sever? I have given each being a separate and unique way of seeing and knowing and saying that knowledge. What seems wrong to you is right for him. What is poison to one is honey to someone else. Purity and impurity, sloth and diligence in worship, these mean nothing to me. I am apart from all that. Ways of worshiping are not to be ranked as better or worse than one another. Hindus do Hindu things.
Lewis?
Revelation came from God to Moses. You've torn my servant from my presence. Were you sent in order to unite or to distinguish and divide? Avoid, if you can, separation. More hateful still to me, estrangement. I to all their qualities assign and give a form to their expression. What to some is praise, to you is blame. What's honey to his taste, your poison. Above pure, impure, I am sanctified. Far above all suave and boorishness, I command my servants worship me, not for my profit, but to bless them. Hindus praise me in the Hindu tongue.
In both texts, we hear the invocation of the vision that the Spirit is universal. I suspect that the words that come from Lewis are more faithful to Rumi's own self-understanding, for they come from the imprint of someone who immersed himself in the great debates, ancient and modern, English and Persian, about who the poet was, what he taught, and how he was nestled inside Islam. Again, a bit of Lewis's translation of Moses and the Shepherd.
I'm not made pure by their remembrance, but pure, full of pearls do they become. We've no regard for words or language. We look for spirit and behavior. We see the heart. And if that's humbled, ignore the words used, brash or mumbled.
The Islamic nature of Rumi's theology is expressed much more strongly in the scholarly translations, like this next one, again from Lewis, that uses the phrase, "There is no God but God," as a refrain. Known as the Shahada, it is one of the 5 pillars of Islam and is used as a meditative text by some Sufis. They repeat it over and over and over and over until an experience of unification with the divine comes.
What a banner, what a standard.
There is no God but God.
Raised on the pinnacle of pre-existence.
There is no God but God.
How the king, like Moses, raises dust from the sea of being and the void.
There is no God but God.
The quality of purities, a product of humility that he showed him in pre-eternity.
There is no God but God.
One wrong from him bests a billion rights. What wondrous, pleasant tyranny.
There is no God but God.
Every spot he casts his glance, a million Eden gardens grow.
There is no God but God.
One fine day from sorrow's sea, I'll reach the shores by waves of grace and bounty buoyed.
There is no God but God.
Anyone you see in sorrow's grip has caught no scent of spirit from my king.
There is no God but God.
All eyes that reject collyrium from the king of Tabriz, what wondrous loss and lamentation.
There is no God but God.
My heart and soul surge with the shout, "Are you not?" The king hears 1,000 voices. Yes.
There is no God but God.
The paradise of grace, the greatness of the prince Shams al-Din, what a wondrous cure of suffering.
There is no God but God.
My heart circles like an intimate around Tabriz, the sanctum sanctorum of.
There is no God but God.
How pleasant would it be to say, "Who is at the door?" and hear him say,
There is no God but God. There is no God but God. Historical Unitarianism in Transylvania in the 16th century appears to have been inspired by this sentiment to achieve theological reconciliation between Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. I've been told that ancient European Unitarian churches have inscribed on their walls the phrase, "God is one." Some scholars have interpreted this as a nod to the Islam of the Ottoman Empire, under whose sovereignty those early Unitarians sometimes found themselves.
I called through your door. The mystics are gathering in the street. Come out! Leave me alone. I'm sick. I don't care if you're dead. Jesus is here. He wants to resurrect somebody.
I don't know if early Unitarians read Rumi, but I am sure that they would have appreciated his reverence for Jesus. There's a question in the passages that sometimes gets lifted up from Barks invoking Jesus about how much of Rumi is sanitized for audiences in the United States. How close is the Jesus of Rumi to the Jesus of Islam, or the Jesus of Christians, or the secular Jesus? Such questions are ones that confront us every time we engage with theological pluralism.
Imagine a man selling his donkey to be with Jesus. Now imagine him selling Jesus to get a ride on a donkey. This does also happen.
What comes next needs little introduction. The hymn we will sing is one of the most popular in our Unitarian Universalist tradition. The words are translations from Rumi. The arrangement, as befitting the question of who belongs to what and what belongs to who, has been put together by our own Dr. Batiste.
You may refer to the lyrics in your order of service. We'll sing both verses together, and then we'll go again, this side with me and that side with Savannah. Please rise with us in body and or spirit.
Christ is the population of the world and every object as well. There is no room for hypocrisy. Why use bitter soup for healing when sweet water is everywhere?
I let the poem stand with little commentary other than to observe that Rumi distinguished two kinds of knowledge, both of which we have been attempting to weave through our service. The first, the knowledge that we are called to remember, is the knowledge that we are divine beings. It is the knowledge that religion is supposed to help us wake up to. Any spiritual practice that does not center that knowledge, Rumi taught, is a false knowledge. We might call that first kind of knowledge love. The second we might name reason. Rumi believed in the importance of both. Though he was a mystic poet, he immersed himself in book learning and careful textual study. Reason was a key that, applied right, could unlock love. Exactly how? Well, he wrote all of his theological treatises in verse.
The Gnostic says little, but inside he is full of mysteries and crowded with voices. Whoever is served that cup keeps quiet.
In Rumi, we simultaneously encounter a belief that the spirit is universal and that spirituality is what some Buddhists call the narrow path. The opening, the waking up, is something that comes only with great effort, great dedication, and will be a little different for everyone. What appears mundane to one might be deeply spiritual to another. Spirit, being infinite, is found through infinite variations. There is no one spirituality, no single path to point towards. The end goal, though, always remains the same: to help each other wake up.
Don't give advice to someone who's groggy and falling asleep. Don't throw seeds on the sand. Some torn places cannot be patched.
There's a story about the difficulty of finding one's narrow path that comes from Rumi's tradition. It said that a man in prison was sent a prayer rug by a friend. The man was angry. He did not want a prayer rug. He wanted a file or a crowbar so that he could escape. Nonetheless, he dutifully used the prayer rug 5 times a day. Soon he noticed an odd pattern just at the point where his head touched the weave. He began to meditate on it. Gradually, he realized that the pattern was a diagram of the lock to his cell. Studying it, he realized he could open the lock and escape. The knowledge of what we need to wake up to the world as it is always sits in front of us.
The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are going back and forth across the door sill where the two worlds touch. The door is round and open. Don't go back to sleep.
Rumi was inspired by a mystic woman named Rabia. She lived some 4 centuries before he did and taught that the divine should not be loved out of fear, nor should the divine be loved out of hope. Instead, the divine should be loved for the beauty that is in the world and inside each of us. It is said that she once sat inside on a perfect spring morning with her eyes closed to prompt the recollection that the glory of the external world is but a reflection of the magnificence of the divine, which we can find when we gaze within. As befitting a teacher who taught that religion is about waking up to who we already are, we return to where we began with some of Rumi's most famous words. But first, we approach them not quite in the same way we encountered them at the beginning of our service, for our hope is always that our time together might help each other wake up. And so, first, we hear a more scholarly translation that comes from the Muslim poet Muhammad Ali Mojarradi.
Beyond heresy and faith, there is another place. We yearn for what's in the midst of that desert plain. When the Gnostic arrives there, he prostrates his face. There's no heresy, faith, or place in that domain.
And now,
Out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing,
out beyond ideas of wrongdoing and right-doing,
there is a field, I'll meet you there.
there is a field, I'll meet you there.
When the soul lies down in that grass,
When the soul lies down in that grass,
the world is too full to talk about.
the world is too full to talk about.
Ideas, language, even the phrase each other
Ideas, language, even the phrase each other
doesn't make any sense.
doesn't make any sense. May it be so, and amen.
Amen.
Please rise in body and or spirit and join me in singing our last hymn, number 1054 in your teal hymnal, Let This Be a House of Peace.
Let this be a house of peace, of nature and humanity, of sorrow and delay on. Let this be our house, heaven for the healing, open room for question and our inspiration. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. This be a house of freedom. Guardian of dignity and withheld deep inside us. Let this be our house, a platform for the free voice. All secret differences here shall not unify us. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. And all in this house seek truth. The scientists and mystics abide in reverence here. Let this be our house, the house of our creation. Works of art and melodies concise.
when you're broken open. Dance if you've torn the bandage off. Dance in the middle of the fighting. Dance in your blood. Dance when you're perfectly free. My words, let us leave this place waking up to the love inside and the love that surrounds. Go in peace, go in joy, go seeking beauty. May our lives be a blessing. Amen. Thank you for joining us. We want to know who you are and would love to connect with you. Please fill out the link to the online attendance form, and if you are on YouTube, click like and subscribe. If you're interested in joining our congregation, email us at membership@firstuuhouston.org. Thanks so much.